Taiwan issue will come to a head at some point, and the CCP has said they will use force. So, I mean, this is really the time now to really solidify U.S. support for Taiwan. And you do see a lot of strides in that area.
McCarthy is reportedly about to go to Taiwan maybe in the spring.
So that would be the second Speaker of the House to go, since Pelosi went last time.
And a little less diplomatically risky in a way, because McCarthy is a Republican. So, like, it wouldn't necessarily be seen by the CCP as like, oh, well, the Biden administration is behind this because
but it's still going to anger China.
Oh, sure. I mean, everything like will anger China related to Taiwan because they're trying to get you to that point where you're afraid of them being. It's like an abusive parent or something like that. Like you just always get worried about making them mad, or You know
what they would call it if McCarthy goes to Taiwan? McCarthyism.
I can actually imagine the Global Times
saying that, like
trying
the
to
new McCarthyism.
Cut this clip out. We'll use it.
This is our prediction. The Global Times will say this is McCarthyism.
Yeah.
Maybe
when
they'll
McCarthy
say
goes to
American
Taiwan.
political commentator Chris Chappell calls it McCarthyism.
I don't think they will.
If anyone from the Global Times is watching, please do that.
You've never been criticized by the Global Times, only by China Daily.
I know it's not the same.
I know.
Someday, I hope.
Someday we'll make it.
Big dreams, Chris.
Well, that would be a nice thing. And there are some nice things that are happening with respect to China.
I see your transition.
It's good. It's worked. It worked.
Would have worked better if you hadn't called it out. Anyway, so there's something I really think we should check out.
Oh, you're talking about the Biden administration doing the Hong Kong.
Ooh, undermined.
Yeah.
No. Let's talk about the Czech Republic.
Yeah. Or as nobody calls it, Czechia.
Let's Czechia it out.
This doesn't work.
No. They have a new president-elect who is, I believe the kids would call it based.
About Taiwan or China?
Yes.
Yeah.
He wants to develop closer ties with Taiwan.
Well, he took a phone call from Tsai Ing-wen.
Yeah.
The last president-elect to do that was
Donald Trump.
Yes.
But it wasn't just doing that show support for Taiwan. He was also saying Western democracies. The CCP, I forget his exact words.
Is not friendly. China is not friendly.
Yeah.
Like we need to, it's just a fact that we need to recognize.
Yeah. And it's like, wow.
Which, is not, he just said they were not friendly and they weren't going to go along with what Western countries wanted in terms of political,
it's way milder than what most actual citizens are thinking. Right.
China is asshole.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see a diplomat say something like that, a politician.
Yeah. I don't know. American politics is getting very strange. I was
going to say, Donald Trump is the kind of person who might just say that or might just tweet it at 3 a.m. or, truth it at 3 a.m. The point is, so this new Czech president-elect, Petr Pavel.
He said the thing about China, about them not being friendly, and everyone was kind of like, because even though it's mild, having a world leader from a Western country say this is not very common.
I don't know how we can say that China isn't friendly, though. They're sending us all these nice weather balloons.
All the balloons?
All the balloons.
This is a gift.
What could be friendlier?
So the question is, what is the CCP's reaction going to be? Are they going to try to punish the Czech Republic when he takes office in March? Right. I mean, they may not be able to do anything now because they still have the old president who was very China friendly.
I mean, they've already told him that he's hurt the feelings of the Chinese people because of the Tsai Ing-wen phone call. I mean, this guy also used to be a general and also was involved with NATO. He was in the NATO command or something like that before he got into politics. So I think he's probably coming at it from a different angle than the previous president,
leftist president,
Miloš Zeman, who was very pro CCP.
Right. And what's interesting is Zeman had basically worked with all these Chinese companies to invest in the Czech Republic, and actually Chinese companies started buying up a bunch of Czech media companies. That it has been scaled back somewhat since then. But that was like a big deal. And also Chinese investment in the Czech energy sector. Like it's not random what Chinese companies want to invest in, right? It's things that are going to give the Communist Party real control.
It always has a strategic purpose because everything in China is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, which, speaking of, I'll just put a little suggest people check out our episode that came out last week on China. No, it came out this week. As of when this podcast comes out, it will have come out this week. The episode about how China uses private equity investments to kind of gain access to sensitive technology. I know you mentioned it a bit earlier in this podcast, Matt. But it's a good episode. I would recommend checking it out.
Well, the last thing I want to say, Pablo actually gave another interview because he told Financial Times that China is not friendly. This is what he told Bloomberg. It's definitely not a friend. It's not, at this point, an enemy. It's a country based on entirely different values. Their long-term goals are different than ours.
Well, I would disagree with that. It's definitely an enemy.
Yeah, I don't think we're at the place where people are going to say that.
Yeah, but also like you're not running for office, so you know.
Oh, well, I would like to announce my entry into the election race.
Which one is that?
All of them.
All of them.
Just vote for me.
See, I think that if I were going to run for office,
Chris Chappell for Brooklyn Borough President.
I just get elected to like 100 different small things, and then I have a million things on my plate.
See, I think if I were a politician, I would just scale things back, and so instead of like living my values, I would just try to project what I think voters want to hear, and also that's going to get me the least criticism from the mainstream media, and so yeah, like I totally get it.
Isn't that what politicians do in general?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I would do if I wanted to actually get elected. Right? It's all about hiding your real feelings and suppressing your own values for the greater good, and the greater good being getting yourself elected.
I don't know. Hiding and suppressing your feelings, that doesn't sound like you, Matt.
Wow. Okay. This just got real.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It got real.
We're going to need to start a therapy channel or something like that.
Therapy Unhinged?
Just Matt Unhinged.
Well, I think we're already pushing you there by making you watch those Hunter Biden tapes.
So I recorded for America Uncovered Headlines, which came out on Saturday. Like I had to record this morning the clip of like me reacting to the Hunter Biden videos. It was actually very, like it's emotionally very challenging.
Cathartic.
To deal with that headspace. Well, no, because I did actually, not this morning, but I did actually watch the Hunter Biden videos back when they first came out, because you had actually asked me to do that, and I was like, okay, I'll just see if like what's actually here. And like it is really awful. Anyway, the point is that
the point is that we are damaging Matt and traumatizing him for the greater good, which is YouTube views.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
But so we do it for you.
Hongkongers are allowed to still stay in the U.S. and live and work. There was an extension that was given that was supposed to end on the beginning of February, and then like they would have had to like go back to Hong Kong or something,
or they wouldn't have been allowed to
work,
or they wouldn't have been allowed to like stay in the U.S. under particular visa situations.
And this is a big deal because like sometimes like some of the Hong Kongers who've gone to the UK, for example, under like a refugee status type visa, they can stay there, but they can't actually work, which means that they have to rely on other people to support them, which is a really awkward and kind of unfair situation to put activists in. And so I applaud the Biden administration for just being like, all right, we're going to extend this for 24 months. And I mean, it could be extended beyond that, right?
I mean, it was kind of like down to the wire a little bit, because I know a lot of Hong Kong groups had been like lobbying for a while, because it was very soon that the like cutoff deadline was coming up, and the Biden administration hadn't been saying that they were going to do it.
Right, but I mean, it's better late than never, and this is protecting, one group estimated something like 3,000 to 4,000 Hong Kongers.
Yeah, we actually haven't.
Affect.
There haven't been as many Hong Kongers coming to the U.S.
Right. Well, it's been harder than going to the U.K.
Yes, because under the British National Overseas passports, like if you were born in Hong Kong before July 1997, or your parents were there were ways that you could get a British BNO passport, which made you a British overseas national. Which some people argue about that because like these people weren't made British citizens, like they weren't given the protection of British citizenship when Hong Kong transferred sovereignty back to China, but the BNO lets them, if they have that passport, they can travel to the UK. And about almost 150,000 Hong Kongers have moved to the UK in the last few years under the BNO passport scheme.
Right. Well,
that include Canada too?
No, just the UK.
Just the UK.
Yeah. I mean, little known fact, the US also has something like that for American Samoa. Like most people in US territories like Puerto Rico or Guam are US citizens. But if you're born in American Samoa, you're merely a U.S. national. So you can live and work in the U.S., but then you have to apply through an immigration process if you want to become a full citizen to vote.
Yeah.
Or serve on jury duty if that's what you want.
But
American dream.
The BNO thing is different than what you're talking about. You were talking about people who are Hong Kongers who didn't qualify for BNO because they're too young or something like that, coming to the UK and asking for asylum.
Right.
Which in that case, they cannot work.
They can't work.
Yeah.
But the U.S. and the Biden administration has given them the ability to also work. So they can essentially set up a life here. I mean, it's hard when you don't know what's going to happen in 2 years, but it's still way better than not being able to work and still not knowing what's going to happen in 2 years.
Yeah. And it is a sign that, like, when you pressure elected officials to do things that also make them look good, you can actually get them to do things.
Yeah. So here we are, praising the Biden administration for doing the right thing.
They've actually done a lot of really solid
things
that have been good on China, I think. John Kerry aside.
Well, that's what I was saying. There seemed to have been a little friction
there. Strap
Yeah.
him to the weather balloon and send it back.
Oh,
I like that
no.
idea.
I thought we were ending on a positive note here.
To me, that's a positive note.